the saga continues. The United Kingdom's controversial policy to deport asylum seekers to Rwanda has been ruled as lawful by the British High Court. Now, this is a scheme that would see the British government deport a certain amount of asylum seekers who entered the UK illegally to the East African country of Rwanda, where they would have to wait until their asylum claims had finished processing. Well, the plan has been slammed by human rights groups ever since it was announced in April of 2022, with many questioning its morality and its legality. In fact, the first flight to Rwanda was set to take off on June 14th of 2022, but the European Court of Human Rights actually stepped in at the last minute, the 11th hour, to stop that from happening. Now the UK says that it's going to pay Rwanda $145 million over the next 5 years to finance this scheme, but will they actually follow through? That is the question. And joining us now is former Israeli parliament member from the Meretz party, Mossi Raz. So, in 2018, Israel, of course, made headlines for this very issue. I remember covering this extensively, for attempting to implement a very similar plan to the United Kingdom in sending and deporting asylum seekers from Israel to Rwanda. And we did see that around 4,000, both Eritrean and I believe it was Sudanese asylum seekers ended up being shipped off to Rwanda between 2013 to 2018. So this actually did happen, but we're going to get to why it ended. But I'm interested to know, how was that plan different from what we're seeing in the United Kingdom?
I'm not that familiar with the plan in the United Kingdom, so I'm not sure that I can say. But I can say about the Israeli plan that actually they did not deport people, they just encouraged people to leave. And
right.
they gave them money in order to leave. And of course, they gave money to the government in Rwanda. Mm-hmm. But in the end of the day, I'm not sure what's going to happen with these asylum seekers in UK. Thousands of asylum seekers who went from Israel to Rwanda, all of them, part of very, very few, 7 or 9 or 11, yeah, just moved in few days to Uganda, probably because they felt that their life are in risk in Rwanda.
Interesting. Okay, so yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to get into. And I just want to clarify that what you were referring to there was the encouragement was basically, Israel saying, we're going to offer you the option to go to Rwanda for processing, and you're going to get a certain amount of money to be able to do that. So I guess that big difference with the UK would be the offering of a choice, whether or not it truly was one at the end of the day. So why did Israel ultimately end up abandoning this plan?
The truth is that we don't know for sure until today. But after the protest in Israel and all over the world in front of the embassies of Rwanda, yeah, and after me and my colleague Michal Rosin visiting Rwanda, the government in Rwanda said that they are not willing to do that anymore. It happened 9 days after we came back. So I don't know if there is any relation to our visit or to the protest. We just know that the government in Rwanda refused to go on with this process.
Obviously, Rwanda is a country that does not have the best human rights records,
for sure,
to put it lightly. What happens to asylum seekers when they do end up in Rwanda? You said that some left to Uganda. What were some of the things that you saw?
What we found out when we flew to Rwanda is first that everybody is really afraid to talk. Even foreigners, even Europeans that serve in Rwanda were very afraid to talk. So we understood that this is not the place of freedom of speech. Second, we understood that out of, I think, 4,000, only 9 asylum seekers stayed in Rwanda. Mm-hmm. All the others, when we met them in Uganda, the day later, they said, of course, we did not meet 4,000, but the people we met, they said, we landed in Rwanda and they took us to the border with Uganda and sent us away. So actually, Israel sent them or encouraged them to go to Rwanda. Rwanda deported them to Uganda. So the regime in Rwanda probably took the money and
said, "I'm not dealing with this anymore."
Yes, this is what happened. And in Uganda, they just had to stay. Many of them tried to go to Europe. Some of them did it to Europe. Some of them stayed in Uganda. Some of them
did any of them come back to Israel?
I don't know personally about anybody, but I guess that the answer is yes. I'm not sure. Actually, Israel is closed to asylum seekers since 2012, since Israel built a wall or fence between Israel and Egypt. So if one of them or two of them came, maybe, but not in high numbers.
Not a significant amount.
No.
So the final question that I just wanted to ask was, turning back to the United Kingdom, of course, and the potential that they could implement this plan. I mean, how big do you think this is going to happen in the first place, and what would this mean for the future of the migrant crisis and the future of other European countries and how they deal with their own migrants and asylum seekers?
I'm really not an expert to UK, but what I want to say that every UK citizen and every decision maker in UK has to take into consideration that we talk about human beings. We talk about people that they were born maybe in the wrong place, but it could happen to all of us. We don't know in advance. So they have to take that into consideration. I don't see millions of people coming from Africa to UK. Yeah, I do see people, but not millions. And I think that this is not the way to treat people, just to deport them.
All right. Well, I'd like to thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Raz, former Israeli parliament member with the Meretz Party.